Hello, I'm Susan Dunlop, and welcome to episode 6 of Coffee and Contemplation with Women. The idea behind this podcast series is for women from every decade of life in Australia and abroad, from 10 years to 119 years of age, to contribute their stories, answer questions, and in doing so, take some time for themselves to ponder some areas of their life they might never have or haven't in a very long time looked at. On the flip side, feedback so far has been people listening to the podcast are seeing themselves in similar shoes to their guest or having similar memories to what the guests are bringing up. So I think so far there's been some lovely, valuable feedback. Today, we're going to meet Vera Bizova. Sorry, Vera Bizova in Russia.
That's good. It's okay.
Welcome, Vera. Oh, God, I'm going to laugh a bit. So Vera is a quadragenarian, a woman in her 40s, and I met Vera in 2017 at the Fuck It retreat in Italy. And that's an F word I'm allowed to say because it's the name of a book. Tom gave me the book for my 50th birthday. It was written by John Parkin, and I'd say he possibly coined the title for the first book with the F word in it. It was called Fuck It, The Ultimate Spiritual Way, and I really, really, really needed that book at the time I read it. At the time John wrote, he said at the very back of the book, come and see them in Italy. So Tom and I chose to. That's probably one of the only things we booked in our lead up to our trip. And it was such a lovely time. So as I said, that's where we met Vera. She's an absolutely gorgeous, sweet thing. And Vera has told me in my very first conversation with her, I like to hug. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Was that the first Fuck It retreat that you went to, Vera?
No, I think it was the third one actually, because the first one I did was in 2014. I went to this lovely Italian island called Stromboli that has an active volcano on it, which we climbed at some point. And it was quite a thing.
Oh. I wasn't active at the time though.
It was active, yes, but there were no eruptions as such, just a lot of smoke and gas.
Oh, wow.
So we walked up that hill, up the volcano, and there was nothing to see, just a lot of smoke and gas. And we managed to see a couple of sparks there, and then we went down on the other side of the volcano. And then I think the day after that, we went to a restaurant that they have on the side of the island from where you can see the eruptions. So we had our pizzas enjoying the view, and I was like, yesterday we went up for like 4 hours and didn't see anything, and now you can just sit here and enjoy all this lovely view.
Oh yeah. Which day did you prefer?
Sorry?
Which day did you prefer?
Well, it was very different because with my weight I find it quite difficult to climb hills, but I thought I would do it once in my lifetime because you never know when you have a chance to climb a small but active volcano. So I thought, okay, let's do it. Okay. And we did, and I think that was one of the craziest things I've done in my life.
Oh really? Wow.
But you never know when you will have a second chance to do that, so why not?
Yeah, that's true. Just by way of a little bit of backstory, just before we just move on. So Vera is 45 this December, has no children, is Russian, born in 1975. So Vera remembers the Soviet Union, perestroika, and many other unpleasant things that went on in her early years.
Yeah.
Vera works as a translator from home. She has a degree in English and French, and she's also worked as an English teacher and has sold souvenirs to American tourists on a boat.
That was half a year of my life well spent. It was very well paid holiday, I say, usually.
You enjoyed that?
Yes, it was fun. It was very different from what I usually do.
Okay.
So it was a nice break. And we lived on that boat. We have this river. I know you're supposed to call them boats in English because they're not ships. No, they're not very big. They're like 3 decks with, I don't know, 20 cabins on each deck. And yeah, it was an American company, but I wasn't part of the staff because my small company rented the shop area and the the accommodation from the company. So the normal staff rules did not apply to us, which was nice. And yeah, it was fun. It was great.
Oh wow.
So such a different life from my normal life, working from home, living on my own. Yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
And you've lived most of your life in your own hometown?
Yes, that's right. I also lived in England briefly for just over 2 years and studied there.
And you were saying earlier that your hometown is a small one in terms of Russia, but I had a giggle because you told me how many people that was that you're classifying as small. So maybe just give us an insight of how that all works.
So yes, the country, Russia, consists of what we call federal constituents. If I'm not mistaken, there are 89 of them, and each of them has a capital. And so I live in one of those small capitals of those constituents. So it's the biggest town in my area. It's about 300,000 people. I know it's considered quite big by everybody's standards, but because we are sort of in the middle of Russia and we don't have much industry here, we don't have big plants or, I don't know, important factories or anything. We do have a few, but just a few. You can count them with the fingers on one hand. So yes, and for many years it was mostly agricultural. That's why it's considered to be remote, provincial. As I was saying earlier, there's just one plane that flies from our airport to Moscow twice a day, and that's all. And then we have a train which goes to Moscow once a day, and that's all.
Okay.
So yes.
So you said you feel separate. Do you feel quite separate from the city?
No, not really, because we can drive to other cities. You can drive, or you can take a coach to other cities. The nearest other big city is about 80 kilometers. Then there's another one, Kazan. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's one of the 3 largest cities in Russia.
Okay.
So it's about 200 kilometers away, which is not too much.
No.
You can drive.
So you work from home as a translator. So what's the translator job all about? Because obviously we say, do you need a translator? And that's probably the most we ever come across what that means.
Well, for me, it's mostly sitting at my computer and typing away. It's I get a document and I translate it from Russian into English or from English into Russian.
Okay.
And obviously you can't know everything, so I use an online dictionary, a Russian one, which is quite good. And I have to do a lot of research if I have to translate something that's I'm not familiar with, like, I don't know, oil refinery or food processing.
Okay.
You have to dig a bit into it to learn how it works, to be able to understand what you're translating.
Okay. So because even just that, I was just picturing when you told me you're a translator that it was actually more of that you would be listening to a conversation and translating verbally backwards and forwards, not writing it.
I do get a bit of that every now and then, but in my town, I don't know, it's probably because there's not a lot of things going on, and that's why we don't get too many foreigners that need, or maybe it's because I'm just more used to translating in writing that I don't get much of that interpretation work. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. No, that was just interesting.
Yeah.
Pick that up.
Yeah, I do get a bit of that every now and then. Like a couple of years ago, I was asked to translate for some Dutch engineers who came to a poultry farm with the equipment. So we spent a whole day at a poultry farm locally, and that was enough to make anybody vegetarian. It was just revolting.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
So let us not go into
details. Oh, yeah. Hey, when we first started, chatting about you coming to do this, we did talk about. And I did my typical send you some questions so you can have a little bit of a ponder of some thoughts to have so that it was easy for you. But there's a couple that I asked you about. There was like your earliest memory, and also about one of your naughtiest things, and you came back and said that it was actually made you realise that you'd actually could reconsider your earlier life differently by having actually pondered those questions. Do you want to have a chat about that?
Yeah, let's do.
Yeah. So what came up for you?
The thing at first I wanted to tell you that I didn't want to talk about my childhood because I thought that my childhood was quite an unhappy one, and I was sad most of the time. And when you mentioned naughty things, I was not naughty. I was a quiet, obedient child. And I didn't do anything which I considered naughty. And then, sometimes you get punished out for no reason at all because you do your ordinary things, and punishment comes all of a sudden. It's like, what did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. But then I thought, well, sometimes you read stories about other people's childhood and how difficult their life was when they were little. Their parents used to beat them up, and they were neglected. They had to fend for themselves, find their own food, wash their own clothes. I didn't have all that. My childhood was just an ordinary childhood, I thought, and we had some really great things as well. And we used to travel almost every summer, and my parents took me to some wonderful places. Like, for example, my father had a cousin, I think he was a cousin, who lived in Kyrgyzstan. It's a country in Asia. Now it's a country in Asia. It used to be one of the Soviet republics, obviously, at the time. So, you didn't have to get visas or anything. You just bought a plane ticket and off you go. So, yeah, and we saw some wonderful places. They have a lake there, Issyk-Kul, it's called. It's in the mountains. So you have to drive for 6 hours from the capital to the mountains. I mean, you can take a plane, but we usually drove. That was nice. I mean, I was a child. And I didn't realize, obviously, that many people did not have those opportunities. I have friends of my age who still haven't been further than Moscow,
Oh, wow. That's
they just
different.
Yeah, and they only went to Moscow because they had to, for training or for work. So, I think I couldn't do that. I have to travel. It's probably because my parents did that to me when I was little.
Were you a single child, or did you have sisters and brothers?
My family history is quite a complicated one. My father was married 3 times.
Oh, okay.
So I'm his daughter by his 3rd wife. And he also had 2 children by his 2nd wife and 1 child by his 1st wife. So there were 4 children for him, just 1 for my mom.
Yep.
And my brother from my father's 2nd marriage lived with us since he was 14. now he lives in Moscow, but he was with us for, I don't know, 10 years perhaps. And yeah, it's so I was an only child when I lived here with my mom, but not exactly an only child when my brother joined.
Okay. No, I
It's
didn't know
really
that.
difficult to explain. So I'm not an only child. I'm the youngest one.
But those little
And
the journeys you did were just you alone with your parents.
yes, but the journeys we did, yes, were just with my father, mother, and me.
Okay.
And my sister, when she introduces me to her friends, she says, "This is my sister from my father's third marriage." So yeah.
Oh dear. So saying like what you were thinking about back on your childhood, and you'd mentioned that you remember the Soviet Union and perestroika and many other unpleasant things. Did you feel that was just normal life to you, that all that was happening? Or
Yes, because when you're a child, you live in whatever situation you have, and you don't realize that things can be different. So you sort of, it's now said that the 90s were horrible, very dangerous, and people were killed, in the street. And I just lived my everyday life. I went to school, I went to the university, and dangerous or dangerous. Okay, we were told not to get into cars with strangers, but that's normally you don't normally do that.
no, that's right. Yeah.
And then I don't know. It was very scary when that thing happened, which I don't know the name in English, when our ministers went against the president.
Okay.
It was Gorbachev at the time. And, during the Soviet times, when the leader of the country died, they always showed the Swan Lake on TV. So it was like a sign. If you see the Swan Lake on TV instead of all other programs, it was like Swan Lake 24 hours.
Oh wow!
So one morning we woke up and there was Swan Lake on TV, and I was like, what happened? Things are going well. And then it turned out that some ministers decided that Gorbachev was not good enough, so they decided to take the power into their own hands. It was like a coup, and Gorbachev was at the Black Sea, I think, at the time, or somewhere else. And for a few days we had tanks in Moscow, tanks in the street, I mean.
Yeah.
And it was very scary. It was like the communism was back on.
Okay.
And then it was over. And then another scary thing like that happened when I was a student, I think. When our president again had the conflict with the parliament. And again, there were tanks in the street and people were dying in Moscow because there were military conflicts. People were shooting each other, and the police was involved and the army was involved. And but then again, that was in Moscow, and we were very far from Moscow.
You said because you're about 800 kilometers away?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, we were watching TV and wondering what was going to happen, but yeah, it all turned out for the best. Yeltsin was the president at the time. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the thing is, for Australians particularly, like we don't really know a lot about what that would actually feel like. At the moment, we're experiencing, being told some rules for the first time, which is very extraordinary for most of us to actually get told you have to stay in your house, and all this virus is going on. How, even though I may as well ask you that, how's that actually going or rolling out there in Russia? Have you got any limitations on you that seem extraordinary at the moment, or?
The quarantine was introduced yesterday or the day before yesterday, and before that we had like recommendations to stay inside, and now we are required to stay inside.
Okay.
And also, Russians are little rebels, you know. Before the quarantine, we had these like a week off that employers were supposed to pay for. So, you know, all employees were supposed to stay inside, and employers got really angry about that. So some of them actually said, no, I'm not going to let my staff stay at home. I'm not going to pay for 1 week of not doing nothing. They're going to work. So some organizations worked and some didn't, and people went out, had picnics, bought plane tickets and went to the Black Sea, you know. And then yesterday, when all these official measures were introduced, you know, they showed on TV all those people stuck in those resorts where nothing is open, you know, all the restaurants are closed, and all the I don't know, parks and different entertainment things are closed, like leisure centers and cinemas and things. Can't really do anything.
No.
So now they have to fly back somehow. But still, for many people, you know, we don't like being told what to do. That's the problem with Russians. We like to do our own things, no matter how stupid it is. So if you are told to go out and do things, many people will stay inside. And now that we are told to sit inside, lots of people just want to go out.
Oh, because you're in springtime, so opposite to us.
Yeah.
So yeah. So how do you usually entertain yourself? Do you get together with people a lot, or is it just that you entertain yourself?
You mean me personally?
Yeah, just you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I work from home, so sometimes there are days when I don't go out at all, and there are days when I just go out to the nearest shop, which is next door.
Okay.
Conveniently. So yeah, I like going to cafes and walking with friends, and basically my favorite thing to do is to sit in a cafe and chat.
Okay.
As I said, if I were paid for that. and yeah, and now people, well, even before the quarantine was on, we were advised to stay at home, not required to stay at home. And many friends just said that they were not going to join me in a cafe because they were scared. I was like, what?
Oh.
What am I going to do?
Oh no. Yeah. Your
So
social life curtailed.
Exactly. It's virtually non-existent anyway, but now it's completely non-existent. So I suppose we're going to have Skype parties, or I don't know, something like that.
Do you do anything else otherwise, like creativity-wise, to entertain yourself at home? I know you've got kitty cats. Your kitty cats.
Yes, I have 4 cats, and I crochet, and especially when I watch TV, you know, sort of to occupy my hands.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only creative thing I do at the time. Sometimes I paint, but that's, you know, very rarely. I just don't have the inspiration somehow. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you?
What were you going to say?
Do you do any creative stuff? Yeah. I mean, you do mosaics.
That's pretty much it at the moment.
Facebook.
Yeah, I do that. But I'd like to try new things, but I haven't tried things either for a really long time. So I'm only just starting to pick up creativity again. So yeah, but I think in the next few weeks, now that we are locked down here, some of that will come out. But I'm starting with a spring clean that never happened last spring. So I'm having an autumn clean at the moment, and I started in my office today. Has got all its curtains pulled down, so I'm pretty much sitting here in the dark looking out on the street going, hello. I know you can all see me, but anyway. Mind you, if they're out, they're not out. So if you travel to one place in the world this week without any limitations, where would you go that you haven't been to already?
That's Iceland.
Ah, okay. Yes.
Ever since Susan, I never really planned to go to Iceland, but then you remember Susan, we met on that retreat,
Susan
and
Martin.
she invited everyone to Iceland. So I did a bit of research and actually wanted to go at some point, but that fell through. So I did a bit of research and I looked at all the beautiful photographs of places that they have there. And I was like, yeah, just take me to Iceland.
Yeah. Well, I think she's got a summer house there, so I remember her telling me that they sit out at night time and don't even look up at the northern lights because it's just so normal that their sky is just always northern lights. You think, oh my God, it's such a rare experience to go and see it from Australia.
Exactly. Yeah. And yes, I saw your photographs and you were in snow and
it was amazing.
You were wearing winter clothes and
yeah, it was we went from a heat wave in Australia to Amsterdam and then up to Norway and Iceland. It was pretty incredible. But I remember Susan talking about the lovely big, the really fluffy horses, because they're just like really big, but they all huddle together because it's so cold. What piece of advice would you give 10-year-old you that you wish you'd been told by your mum?
Well, when I thought about this, I couldn't really come up with one single advice, on what to do and what not to do, for example. I just thought, I wish I had been told that I was okay, and everything is okay, and everything is going to be okay, that all the things that I considered bad at the time, I thought I was suffering so much. That it was all okay.
Yeah. Was your mum easy to talk to?
Sorry, say it again.
Sorry, was your mum easy to talk to?
No, my mom was very tired all the time, and also she had quite a difficult life as well. Her first child was stillborn, and she had a normal pregnancy, and then because of the doctors, the child died during birth. And I can only imagine how horrible that must have been.
Yeah.
And then she divorced her husband of that time and went away and met my father, and they had a child, and the child died when she was 2 because of pneumonia. And then I was born, and because my mother didn't get any support, because it was Soviet Union, what support? You're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to get up and go to work. And because of that, she was always sad, she was always tired. So, as we would say now, she was emotionally unavailable, I suppose. And I found it hard. But then again, when you're a child, you grow up thinking that this is the way it should be. And when you meet someone in whose family it's different, you think, oh, I didn't know you could do it that way.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
So, yes. And that's why I said that my childhood was not very happy, because I was always wondering why things were the way they were.
What have you done to change your life? We've met you at the retreat in Italy, and I know you were planning on getting to Turkey at some stage. What have you done to make your life different to how your mum and dad led life?
Well, I had an interest in psychology since I was 12, I think. Was constantly reading books, going to some workshops, training, different personal growth stuff. I went to different retreats, and then I found the book, the Fakir book.
Yeah.
I was reading it on the plane when I was flying to Lake Baikal, where I went on another personal growth thing.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, let's try that. And it was 2013, and I wrote to them, and they only had like one place left on the last retreat they had that year, which was October, I think. And I thought, no, okay, let's wait until next year then. So I went in May 2014. And when I first came there, I mean, it's such a beautiful place, Stromboli. It's beautiful. And it was the end of May, so it wasn't very hot. There were no people besides us. When
Perfect
we first
timing.
arrived, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
When we first arrived, there was another group at the hotel. And they were doing some shamanic practices.
Oh, okay.
Which was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, and then they left and they were just us, you know. And then other people started coming towards the end. So yes, at the time you just go through the exercises and climb the volcano, go to the restaurant, and you think, yeah, okay, it's a retreat, fine, it's normal, you know, retreaty stuff. And then later you realize that I met some people there. One of them was, two of them were from Amsterdam. So later I went to see them in Amsterdam. Then, you know, we're always in touch and we're always talking, discussing things. So later you realize that your life has changed a lot after something that seemed so normal and, you know, okay, interesting and very, very pleasant, but, you know, nothing extraordinary. Then later you realize, oh, okay.
So
I have so many good things in my life now because of that.
Oh yeah, and Tom and I remembered that from the one we went to and met all you guys. Like, it was such a strange thing to turn up to as we bird version bucket retreaters for the first time and meeting all the new people that, you know, you're all from sort of, you know, from Europe or wherever. I think, oh my God, what have we just walked into?
Yeah.
But it was such a loving group of people. I think, yeah, so it's nice actually to grow from that connection from other people outside of your usual circle, isn't it? So, yeah, it's pretty special.
It's lovely, yes. And one of the girls from our first group was later trained as a coach. So now she's doing some meditation group on WhatsApp and to keep getting messages. Sorry. So, yeah, I joined that group. So we're doing this with some people that I don't know from other countries as well. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun, isn't it? What do you feel like? Are you feeling like, as terms of like decades of life, are you feeling like which decade has been your funnest so far?
I think it just gets better every year, to be honest. So definitely, yeah, the last few years have been also the most difficult ones as well, with my parents passing. But yeah, still very good.
Yeah, that's quite it's a strange time, isn't it, when the parents are at that stage that you're trying to move on, but you realise the amount of things that you're juggling in terms of emotions and whatnot. Yeah. We actually, I think we should actually be finishing up soon. I have no idea when we started recording because we were chatting in our catch up early on so much. I'm feeling like we could be about half an hour about now. So how about we finish up with what is your favourite quote and what does it mean to you?
The thing with quotes is that I don't have a favorite quote, but I have a favorite book by Richard Bach. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Bach,
Bach, B-A-C-H, yes.
Yep.
He wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you.
I've heard of the book.
That. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So I think that's one of his most famous books. But he has written quite a few more. And one of my personal favorite ones is Illusions. And that book basically consists of quotes.
Okay.
So I can't really think of one. I should have prepared the book, but I don't have it with me.
You can always send it through to me, and I'll pop it on underneath there when we actually.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I'll do that.
I'll look him up.
Yeah. There's another. Yeah.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It feels like it was back is that a 70s sort of era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, we're breaking up a weeny bit. What is your what's your favourite song?
Oh my God, I don't have a favorite song. I have a playlist in my phone which is like 300 and something songs, and I like all of them. So.
Oh really? What would be your go-to song if you just needed to get get into a really good frame of mind? Sometimes you've got the most played song.
I don't have a most played songs. I just pop it on, and if I don't like the song, I pass on to the next one.
Well, we're all different, aren't we? Hey, some people have got favorite songs.
I'm sorry, I'm slightly disappointed. I don't have a favorite song. I don't have a favorite quote. I don't have a favorite flower, favorite animal. I don't know. I just like most things.
And you were always good when you were little and everything. Is there anything else? Is there anything else around what we've been chatting about that you'd like to actually raise, or that I haven't asked?
I don't know. This coronavirus thing really complicates things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just as we were. No, actually, the economy has been in decline for the last few years, and the international relations have not been that good. So I don't know. Maybe it will help. Actually, I hope so. Anyway.
Yeah, it might be time for us all just to be slowing up to actually realise what the hell's going on. I think we were speeding along a lot, weren't we?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish, people could be friends and, have fun together rather than fight over limited resources and other things.
Things we can't change. But anyway.
No.
Do you reckon you'd ever come to Australia?
I would love to, except as I was saying earlier, Australia is so full of dangerous things like spiders and snakes and stuff. But it really is a beautiful country. When I see photographs, I wish I could go to all those beautiful places that I see.
Well, we'll protect you from the snakes and the spiders, and you can come and cuddle some guinea pigs and maybe check out some koalas. So you're more than welcome anytime to come and hang out.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe have a extra retreat down here for all the people that.
Yes, let's do that. You're always welcome to come to Russia.
Oh, true. Yes, it was on the list. But
yeah, I remember Tom mentioned that at some point.
Yes, it was big on his list for that year that we travelled. So yeah, we didn't actually.
Yeah.
We realised that the ideas were expanding far past where our money limits were. We're like, really?
They always do, don't they?
Yeah, we sort of had to have a bit of a grow up phase at some stage through that. I think it was just after we left you guys and we went over to Cinque Terre, and we had one of those moments thinking, "Ooh, money's burning fast." But we laughed. It was good. But yeah, it was very, very much a pleasure meeting you guys in Italy. And
it was definitely.
I took away massive learning.
It was great. It was such a great retreat. I laughed so much. I don't think I've ever laughed so much in my life. We just laughed all the time. It was so great.
I know. We had a session in the pool with everyone doing all those things. That was pretty crazy. Tom remembers that one very much.
Oh yes, all the floating around.
It was beautiful. Couldn't believe it. So organic vineyard in was it East Italy? But God, I hope they come through and get past what they're going through right now. That must be pretty horrendous.
Yeah, it must be very difficult for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not a very happy note to end on. What could we end on this? Your laugh. There we go.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It was a great pleasure to talk to you. It was so much fun.
I know, it's so great. I love actually getting to catch up with everyone. So because you are also in my first 10, you're going to come back after the 40th. So I'm doing my practice runs. So yeah, feel I think it's good that you get to be the first 10. So yeah, we'll
Okay.
have a chat again later when hopefully you've
Yes, let's do
turkey by
that.
the time we get.
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay, well, say hello to your cats for me. Hold on.
Yeah, I will.
I'll
Say hello to guinea pigs.
And Tom's out there somewhere protecting them from the snake, but it's all right.
Yeah, say hello to Tom as well. Yeah.
I will. Okay, well, love to you, and yeah.
Yeah, love to you too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye.
let's do that. Okay, bye-bye.